This is the Penaud La Coureuse. It's in the sport class, and aside from it being the toughest car to pronounce, meaning I probably pronounced it wrong, it comes with a ton of hype. So I thought I would test it and see how it stacks up. At first, it's unimpressive in the looks department. I like the racing styling, but the sloppy look doesn't entice me like, say, a Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak car would. It's also electric, which means it makes no noise, and it's just numb to drive. Honestly, this car isn't enjoyable in just about every metric. It does have HSW options, so I slapped those on, but with the price tag, it was like adding salt to a gourmet dinner. Coming to price, how much does this boredom cost you? $1,990,000. You'll have to get the HSW add-on to even make it usable, and that's another $818,000. That's not counting the upgrades themselves. We'll just be testing the HSW today because the base version doesn't have very good performance, and maybe I'll come back to it later. So what do I get for the cost of an open wheel car? Well, let's find out. Welcome to Grapeseed, where we test the handling, braking, and acceleration. So there are times when I wow a car, but this thing is insane. It drives around like it's on rails in every turn and streaks up to its top speed in mere moments. Blasting through a fence only delayed me for 1/10 of a second, and every lap was nauseatingly consistent from the start. The brakes were adequate in slowing me down, and I can only imagine a real driver in this car would result in enough G's in every direction to cause a nosebleed or even an aneurysm. It was literally the fastest car we've ever tested on Grapeseed, even besting the Ignis this time. With that being said, I have to say the car felt like Pac-Man Arcade. The inputs were numb. The car was quiet, other than some wheel spin. It was like going for a difficult test and the teacher simply handing you the answers. This car is no challenge to drive. On to Route 68, where we test top speed driving, and normally I expect a car of this caliber to handle like a dream and have the top speed of a tugboat. Instead, it continued to impress. It made the course feel like a brisk walk in the park while it bested anything that didn't have HSW stamped on the grill. As an HSW, it would be considered slow, but it was on par with the Cyclone 2, and it was still 3 seconds faster than the Weevil. And the only other sport that really beat it in HSW was the S95 and the Tally GTO Stinger. So slow is definitely relative. We're on to testing the off-road capabilities of the car, and here we finally found the limits of its handling. It still did crushingly well in the handling department, but any bump that got it too much in the air would make it spin around violently. The crazy cure was simply just get off the gas and let it glide through whatever spot it didn't like, and it was back to the jet car ways. Otherwise, it treated the course like a walk in the park, claiming the new fastest speed for everything except for off-road. And the only off-road car that we tested that was faster was the Drauger, which was only under a second faster. Here we tested in its HSW environment, and it's a Tier 3 vehicle, which puts it up against Supras and bikes, so I had a feeling it was going to be a tough matchup. A lot of times this is pretty much over before it begins. This is normally an abusive track for any car, but this car had no problem. It zoomed through the track and claimed its second place spot. It's the only car to even try to challenge the Hakuchou drag, but it came in 3 seconds short. Still, it makes me wonder how this would perform if we applied catch-up to the equation. You would think I would love this car, but it's actually the polar opposite. I hate this car and literally everything it stands for. It's an ugly vehicle that tryhards will force me to drive. It's so numb with an unnatural arcade feel that it cheapens the experience completely. Even worse, one flick of HSW disabled and the car is absolutely useless. So everyone will be forced to spend $3 million on a numb electric vehicle just in case it comes up. Until then, it'll collect dust in an old apartment garage. You'd think with the Amani Tech that you'd see it in free roams, but it's not a Hakuchou drag yet, and the oppressors still exist, so why bother? This car simply exists to collect cash cards and wins for addicted GTA players, when the Sterling GT HSW and the Itali GTO were far better and far more competitive and ultimately a blast to drive. It also cheapens the superclass because it's that much faster. It really shows how the HSW option was done completely wrong by Rockstar. And Rockstar, if you want people to spend money on cash cards, you don't back the one horse. You make all the horses competitive. It should have been used to get liveries on Feltzers and Schwarzers up to the current speed and keep people having fun. But this thing is an atrocity, and I feel sorry for the people that have to buy it. But rest assured, if you want to win, you'll have to. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a while, and I can't promise I won't disappear again, but I hope to continue to test cars, especially now that so many can't be purchased by people, and they want to know exactly how they perform. I hope I can get some of the cars that I once had that I don't have now and test them. And if I had a warning about the garage space, I probably could have made something so I could keep a lot of them. But we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that I can still kind of find a way to pull back in. We'll see how it all works out. But the goal, again, will be continue testing until pretty much every car is tested, and that'll be obviously based on time. But we'll keep doing what we do. We have some other cars in the pipeline that are going to be fun, and I hope you guys check that out too. Until then, like and subscribe if you like the content, and we will see you on the track.